All right, a very good morning to you. It is actually the last Monday of the month of April. So I hope that you're well this morning, and hashtag no Monday blues. And of course, you're looking forward to the day and to the week as well. Welcome to the show. My name is Winnie Lubembe, and of course, this is Your World. And we want to start the week on a tech note, all right? And today it's all about the impact of technology as far as human resource is concerned. Because listen to this, I think there was a study that was done in 2019, and they said, in 2020 actually, and this report revealed that 85% of the jobs that will exist in 2030 has not been invented yet. All right. And of course, day in, day out, we sleep, we wake up. Of course, there is an advancement when it comes to technology, and of course, artificial intelligence and automation actually progressing 3 times faster than Moore's law. And this is according to a report that was published by Stanford University in 2019. So as much as we embrace technology, all right, and of course we cannot wish it away. It is here with us, it is here to stay, and if anything, it's gonna get better as days go by. So the big question is then, how do we harness the power of technology? But the biggest question that we're actually dealing with today, and what we'll be focusing on the conversation, is how will technology impact workforce, and this is in the future. So that is what we want to dive in today's conversation. Should we be scared? Should we be worried? Should we think about learning, other things as far as digital is concerned, or do we just think about a whole totally different course altogether and focus on the same, just because, again, we want to thrive in the future, come like 10, 15, 20 years from now? So that is what we'll be uncovering in today's conversation. It's a whole tech world today. But again, you want to stick around until the end of the show. If you have any question, you know the drill by now. At NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on Twitter, is how you can reach us. But again, like I said, we have a very simple question for you, and that is, how will technology affect future workforce? All right, how will technology affect future workforce? That is what we want to understand. So you know the drill by now. You can reach us via phone or on our socials, and of course we'll be looking forward to what you have to say. A number of you have a lot of things to say. Before I introduce my guest for you, someone says, this is Thomas Kaingu on Facebook, and they say, very true, it will affect. Just an example, Kenya Post that was doing very well before cell phones, all right? And then someone else says, this is Bokelo Isenge, says, Kenyans are not ready to align with the technology. Johnny came late in matters of transition, all right? And then one more. This one says, this is Stanley, says, it will get messy once they stop us from thinking in the name of ChatGPT, CCTV surveillance everywhere, and one digital currency, which will not have full control of, rather, we will live under their mercies. It is coming. Yeah, says Bible is a weakness. So again, it is a very simple question. How will technology affect future workforce? Again, just let us know. If you're feeling the pinch right now, again, feel free to share your story with us. But before we dive into the conversation, in studio, I have Kennedy Wangari, who's a data scientist at UNEP, that is United Nations Environmental Program. It's so good to have you this morning. How are you feeling? What do you feel from just these few comments that we have read as far as tech and the workforce?
Thank you so much for having me here.
You're welcome.
I'm excited to be here on a Monday. And most of those commentaries already resonate with, as we talk of the future of AI, we're already living the future of AI. Some of them are already even giving examples of how these disruptive technologies have already changed the way of working, the job market. And also some of them even highlighting some of these innovative technologies we've heard of ChatGPT and the impact of our work. So it's an indication that if not all of us, most of us are already aware of these emerging technologies, the implication in the day-to-day at work, and probably now how do they need to align and shape themselves towards that future.
Absolutely.
So it's quite a
It's interesting. It's interesting yes. to hear that. All right, but of course, before we delve deeper, we also have Grace Zula, who's a HR consultant and trainer at Atara Solutions, joining us via Zoom. Grace, I don't know if you can hear me and if you can see me. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, I'm not too sure how much of the conversation you've got. I mean, we've not started yet, but from the feedback that we've read, I don't know how much you got, but it's so good to have you this morning. What do you feel? Technology and human resource, and this is as far as the workforce is concerned. How does that make you feel?
I think, good morning to you, Winnie, and I can hear you loud and clear, and it's amazing that we're having this conversation, because it's a conversation we've been trying to have for the last, I think, 2-3 years. We started Future of Work in about 2016, and the things we were discussing then came to be, and now we are advancing as we go along, and it's sort of a wake-up call to a lot of people on terms of, for me, I think it's not work changing, or rather, it's not technology that is really affecting us. It is our adoption to using technology, because it's not the jobs that are changing. It's actually how we do the job that is changing. And that is probably what we need to discuss now.
Okay. And you know, there's one comment, you know, that this person said, and I was sharing this with Kennedy before we came on air. And this person said, let me just get that comment. They say, as long as I'm running my own business, I don't care. I don't know how you feel about that, given the fact that we're living in a very technological era, if I can say that.
That's to me?
Yes.
Okay. That is somebody who is likely not to run a sustainable business, because at this point in time, whether you're running your own business, I mean, look at me. I'm joining NTV. I'm in between Naivasha and Nakuru as we speak. So, and this is part of technology, right? I mean, a few years ago, we couldn't do this, and here we are. So it is not, a failure to adopt technology means that you're not going to be running a sustainable business, because as the days go by, we are getting to change the how we do things. Remember, it's not necessarily the jobs. And we can use the example of secretaries. You remember when they were using typewriters? And we have secretaries who now transition to become admins because they needed to learn more. The technology came and made some of their repetitive jobs easier. And therefore, they needed to add more skills to their jobs. So as a matter of fact, it's not, the secretary per se has not necessarily changed. But technology came, made things easier, and therefore they needed to add a few more skills to their jobs to become now more efficient, more effective, and therefore running sustainable businesses.
Okay, I see that. And Kennedy, do you want to comment on the same as well? We just discussed this partly before we came on air, but yeah, do you want to comment on this person who says, me, I have my business, technology, I really don't care.
Great.
What impact it has.
Yes, I do concur with Grace that a better understanding of these emerging technologies greatly positions an organization and also as an individual to have that competitive advantage, because we all now adopting and moving towards how do we leverage these emerging technologies to improve our productivity of how we work, how we deliver at work. And I would just say that that particular person is at risk because, one, probably they're not aware, they don't have that knowledge of in terms of the limitations and the capabilities of these emerging technologies, and they tend to they face the risk of becoming obsolete, as Grace has put it, in terms of ensuring that you're running your business, you're sustainable in your business, and also making sure that you're going with the trends. So I think for me, I would just emphasize on her point that there's need for us to understand these emerging technologies, how they're revolutionizing and transforming how we work, and how do we adopt them to make sure that we are living up to ensure we have safe and secure jobs, and that we also able to improve efficiency, productivity in our work. So I'll just emphasize on her point that there's need for us to be tech savvy, to understand how these emerging technologies from robotics, artificial intelligence, metaverse, how do they shape our day-to-day work? How do we leverage on them to improve our work? Because again, with all these emerging technologies, what we've been able to realize is that one, as Grace mentioned, there's the change of new occupation. People have to embrace technologies, from changing now from being a secretary to taking up an administrative role. We already are experiencing change of roles. There are those traditional roles that are now becoming sort of redundant and obsolete. So there's need for us to move, to gain the skills and improve ourselves so that we can tap into the new opportunities. She also mentioned, and also there is also the aspect of new opportunities that are being created with now the digital evolution, and also like right now there's a high demand for data-related roles. So I would say there's a lot in terms of new opportunities, new roles that are coming up, all traditional roles getting redefined. There's also people changing to different occupation. And what's exciting is that with all these technologies, there's even rise of better businesses. Like right now, we're seeing people are able to look at, well, this ChatGPT, I can integrate it into my business and make my business more competitive and more sustainable. So there's even development of new startups and new organizations. So there is a lot in terms of us getting to understand these emerging technologies, their capabilities, and also taking our role to upskill ourselves and leverage on them.
And there's a lot there. But I think two key points is sustainability and also obsolete. Right? Yes. Where we said, again, there is a risk. And I'm pretty sure you've had, like in day-to-day conversations, people would say, hey, some certain jobs in the next 10 or 15 years will not be there anymore. So people who are in those specific jobs, some of them are terrified. They're like, so then where do I go, right? What do I do? Just to make sure that 10, 15 years later from now, I am still relevant in, you know, any given job market. But I'd also want Grace to comment on then when it comes to like careers, right? What we know, how then do we harness, first of all, the power of technology, just to make sure that, again, we still thrive, you know, 10, 15 years from now. But there's a lot that we've talked about. There's artificial intelligence. We've talked about, mentioned, yes, machine learning. Yes. There's automation. There's ChatGPT, yes. The one that you've mentioned. Yes. So can you just put it in very simple terms for everybody to understand, so that that person who's saying, me, as long as I'm running my business, you know, my small kibanda there, I really don't have to care about technology and how that affects workforce in the near future. So can we just get a better understanding as far as artificial intelligence and how we integrate that in our day-to-day activities, as well as machine learning. There's automation, which I think a lot of HR, you know, practitioners are actually using. Yeah.
Great. So with all the adoption of these technologies, from artificial intelligence, robotics, automation, we're now talking of metaverse. It has created a demand for skills gap. There's been that creation of a skills gap in terms of we're now getting to see that there's the skills that these emerging technologies are coming up with, and there's need for us to upskill ourselves to bridge the gap. So that means that there's need for every one of us in the different roles that we're in to explore programs and training and skills programs that will help us to bridge that gap. So that, again, as we mentioned, to understand, so that we're able to understand what do these emerging technologies mean? What does, like in this context, artificial intelligence, what are its capabilities in my line of work, and what are its limitations, and how can I leverage on it? So first of all, we're able to bridge that gap, have access to these skills, have access to these training programs, and now to narrow down to your question on artificial intelligence. When we talk of artificial intelligence, we mean, in layman's term, we're basically programming a computer. We're basically writing a computer software or a mobile application that basically mimics a human intelligence capabilities. And when we talk of a human intelligence capabilities, we're talking of the capabilities of a human being to perceive something, how a human being is able to see something. That's what we call machine vision, and make a decision. The natural language processing capabilities, how a human being is able to speak, and you're able to understand what they mean from the conversation, and also from the voice processing, how we're able to process human beings' voice and make decisions out of it. So when it comes to artificial intelligence, we're basically infusing these human capabilities into an application, either a mobile application or a web application, whatever it is, to support data-driven decision making. So for today's context, we're looking at how is artificial intelligence going or already transforming the human resource industry. Because again, artificial intelligence is almost revolutionizing almost every field, because artificial intelligence leverages on data. And I think almost every field we're generating data day in, day out. So, but to narrow down to our focus on the HR, that's basically human resource management. So, having understood what's artificial intelligence, I think I would talk of 4 different ways that I've seen promising results of how artificial intelligence is already transforming and how we're moving towards even the future of it. One is artificial intelligence. Whether it's the development of chatbots, the virtual assistants, it has led to more improved ways in terms of how do we source our talent, how do we scout candidates, how do we hire them. And what has artificial intelligence made is that it has made the process easier. It's now easier because we're able to see what we call talent as a service platforms. People are developing now platforms. We now have virtual assistants. We have chatbots that are coming in to help in terms of being able to screen a candidate from thousands of resumes. Are you able to match a candidate based on, you're able to summarize many resumes, to be able to match a candidate based on their skills and experiences to a new job. And above all, you're also able to generate potential questions, interview questions you can ask that candidate, and also help you in the process of understanding the candidate, and even support the HR. Again, there's a lot of biases when it comes to making offers in recruitment. So AI is also coming in to eliminate that human bias. Another promising area has been AI has come in to help us improve the productivity at work. And how has it come in to help in that? With artificial intelligence, we're now able to track the employee data from how you communicate, your emails, your chats, your workflows, the day-to-day activities, how did you complete them, and such and such. And what that means is that once you're able to analyze this HR data, I'll be able as a HR to make insights in terms of is this particular employee disengaged? Are they maybe involved in any misconduct? Are they maybe feeling burnout and such? So basically all these insights will help HR to be able to, one, mitigate any potential issues, and what that means is that you'll be able to track your employees, the day-to-day work, and overall improve their productivity and performance.
And we have a HR in the room, I mean virtually, hashtag thanks to technology. and Grace, again, as a HR practitioner, I mean, again, Kennedy has mentioned a lot of things and how technology has, made it a bit easier and simpler for, and especially, HR, specialists to really, the whole recruitment process and all those things. But one might say, so what about then those people who are supposed to do that work, okay? What happens to them? Should people be scared? Or what do we do? But in your line of work, again, to quantify, what Kennedy is saying in terms of how technology has made it a bit easier on your end.
Right. I think Kennedy has covered quite a lot. And we can use the example of talent acquisition. By the way, we don't call it recruitment anymore. It's talent acquisition. Now, when you're using, when you're trying, we're in the process of acquiring talent, technology has made it easier. Now, we use something we call HR analytics. And for you, your KPIs as a HR professional, turnaround time for talent acquisition is one of your KPIs. So if you take shorter time, like the time it takes to bring in talent or replace or whatever it is that a new position you've created or replacing somebody who's left, the time it takes to fill a position is actually marked as a KPI for an HR professional. So technology has come to make that swift. It makes it very easy, and therefore your turnaround time becomes shorter, and therefore you're saving the company money. So even the people who are actually doing those jobs, they are talent specialists who their job have become so much easier. They're able to serve more people because of their ability to be able to perform, to have a shorter turnaround time, and therefore their money is saved, and they get to now focus their energies. Like, for example, if you're doing shortlisting for a position with 100 CVs. By the way, there are some positions when you advertise and you have to sit back and go over 100 CVs that are very poorly done. And then people who have emails that are forwarded. Imagine having to go through all that one by one and then only 10 people. So it has become really, it has made work easier because you really don't have to strain and go over 100 CVs. The ATS will just automatically see for you, give you about 10, then subject the 10 to a psychometric test. Then that one gives you another 5. Those 5 are the ones you now get to meet either face-to-face or the, what do they call it? The video, the interview video something system, I've forgotten the name. But you say it makes sure that instead of taking 2 days doing shortlisting or talent acquisition, you actually now take half a day. And therefore, the rest of the day you can focus either doing another job or attending to another matter. So it has become quite easy, by the way. It's not the jobs that will become obsolete. It is how we do the job. And I insist on this. It is how we do the job. So for us as HR professionals, it is our duty and our call to the other professionals to make sure that they're keeping tabs, they're in touch with what is changing in the technological world. It is what is changing in the job market. You know, nowadays, we have HR professionals that it's no longer HR. It is people and culture, people and happiness officer, people and something, you know. So the titles are also changing. So how are you positioning yourself? What skills do you need to get there? You know, those are some of the things that we need to do. And this is our call. Like, for example, we run a program we call Get It Right. Tomorrow we are discussing the gig economy. Because technology has opened up so many opportunities. The jobs are so many now, and you don't have to only work for people in Kenya. You can become a global employee, and you're just positioned right in your house, thanks to technology, thanks to being adaptive. And so part of the skills that HR professionals need in the year 2023, 2024 is to become data wizards. Because like my colleague has said, you need to be able to gather data. You need to make sense of this data. You need to use this data to make decisions. Now, if you're not able to follow with this data, if this data is just numbers for you, then unfortunately, you're not going to survive in this job market. So it is a call, and I'm glad that you're having this conversation because this is part of how we start this conversation. By creating awareness and then challenging people to unlearn and relearn, reskill themselves so that they're able to position themselves for the whatever is coming in the future, because we cannot run away from technology. I mean, imagine right now, when was the last time you carried 20,000 in cash? Even your mama mboga you're paying by phone, or some of them. In fact, there's a place we were at and they allowed us to swap in a small kiosk. They have those. So exactly, you say you have a business and you don't need technology, and people are there taking better payments. It is technology, so you don't have to complicate technology.
Okay, I see that, and I know you're very what is it called? Strong as far as there's nothing like, we'll have like some jobs that are obsolete. It's just that the way, we work on these jobs is what will change, but how these jobs will be there. I mean, but listen, Grace, research says, like in 2030, for example, some of the jobs that will be there does not exist right now. So a number of people who are in the job market and are thinking, okay, me by 2030, listen, me, I still want to be working, okay? So I don't know, like, are there some fields that maybe we should be concerned about? And I know when we say this will create some bit of panic in terms of people will be like, okay, so then what happens to my job and all those things? But Grace, before I come back to you, Kennedy, very quickly, in terms of like, are there some fields that might be affected more as compared to the others, when it comes to the future of what it looks like? Because we've seen some companies are actually using robots to do tasks that people used to do. So the big question is then what happens to these people, in like 5-10 years from now? So as we mentioned, almost every industry that's generating data will have to think of ways how we can leverage on our data to maybe
make better data-driven decision-making processes.
Okay.
And there are fields that already, as of now, we've already experienced great benefits of leveraging artificial intelligence, our data, technology, and our people. And good examples are the healthcare industry. We've seen how we've been able to transform the healthcare industry from even having telemedicine and a lot of improvements even during the COVID-19 period. A good example, even in Kenya, we had Tumaini and Shujaa robots that during the COVID-19 period were doing the screening at JKIA. So healthcare industry has been one of those industries that we've already experienced great benefits of leveraging artificial intelligence and also a great promise in the future. I'm also looking at the fintech, that's the banking and finance industry, how we get to access loans, how we get to credit score and get to even have a particular loan limit, know which customers are going out to pay our money back and all that. So there's a lot in terms of even within the country, the transformation in the fintech industry and how artificial intelligence has really transformed and shaped the industry. Another industry that I've seen a lot of great benefit has been the cybersecurity space. There's a lot of improvement in the industry. There's a lot of innovations that are coming up. I think I would go on and on. There's also the transport industry, even here locally in Kenya, how we handle automobile, the transportation, the hail, booking, car booking services. I think I would go on and almost mention almost every industry. But I think for me, those
like almost every industry really has seen the benefit of the same. But which ones should be concerned? That is the question. Whether some of these industries that should be concerned, and even people in that workforce, you know, should be concerned, and what is it that they need to do? And also, Grace, I'd want you to answer the same in terms of then what are some of these necessary skills that we need to have that will prepare us for the future workforce, so that again, instead of being scared about technology, we embrace it and make sure that we thrive in the future. But of course, all that is coming up after the break. The question is, how has technology affected, or how will technology affect future workforce? That is what we want to know. NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on Twitter, is how you can reach us, or better yet, give us a call. The numbers will be down on your screen. But we'll be looking at what you have to say after the break. Stay with us. The show is Your World.
As a student, start building a professional network by attending corporate events for the industries in which you want to build your career.
Are leaders born or made? Park University demystifies this paradox and responds by transforming every student enrolled into the leaders Africa needs. Apply now or simply log on to www.parkuniversity.ac.ke.
Park University, where leaders are made.
You're going to take your oxtail and then you're going to brown it.
Manchester City has won 4 of the past 5 Premier League titles. Arsenal has not won the Premier League since 2003-04, the season of Arsene Wenger's Invincibles. Either City or Arsenal is going to be this season's Premier League champion. The title possibly on the brink of being decided.
That moment when you start to get back to ordinary, and ordinary feels amazing. Whatever pain you're going through, release starts here.
All right, welcome back. The show is Your World and time flies. But of course, we want to figure out how then do we harness the power of technologies to make sure that we still thrive in the current workforce and also in the future. And of course, my guests really emphasized on how important it is for us to, first of all, understand what is going on, familiarize ourselves with technology. But the most important thing is to either reskill, upskill. I know Grace mentioned all those things. You know, that is reskill, upskill, learn new things and new skills that will be required in the next few years as far as, you know, the workforce is concerned. But there's also that aspect of, you know, the human and technology conflict. There's a bit of a conflict here, and we were discussing this with Kennedy during the break, where people are scared in terms of that what happens to my job, right? If, you know, robotics is going to take my job, then what happens to me? So that is what we want to figure out right now. And the question that we asked you is, how will technology affect the, you know, future workforce? All right, how will that happen? A lot of people are saying it has already. Someone says, this is Zachary Gishiri, says artificial intelligence is taking over in the next decade. Robotics are taking robotics taking in every sector, even in security. All right, and then K. Kags Joseph says, of course, yes, in so many ways, we must embrace it to hasten industrialization and know how to deal with human versus machine conflict, what we talked about. And I'd want you to answer to that. Someone says has already affected, and then someone says it is still affecting, but when your cake rots, you bake another. Okay. And then someone else says to create to the creative extent, I think that is what they meant, especially with the introduction of artificial intelligence. Examples, robotics in the field of work. And then someone else says, yes, soon we shall do away with ATMs since it's expensive to purchase and maintain. Phone is everything, what we were talking about. You can, I mean, also Grace mentioned the same, that is, you can actually acquire anything you want and do that transaction on your phone. And then Juma says, Juma Shaka Gift says technology has a significant impact on human resources, transforming the way human resource processes are conducted and changing the nature of work itself. HR professionals need to adapt to these changes and leverage technology to improve their processes and enhance employee experience. And I mean, yeah, we have to adapt at the end of the day. I think that is the bottom line. But again, Grace, very quickly, in terms of making sure that we are still relevant, right? You're not declared redundant because hashtag robotics have come and they've taken over and you don't know what to do and all those things. You talked about reskilling, upskilling, and, you know, learning other skills. But really, when we look at the future, like 5-10 years from now, what are some of these necessary skills that people need to have, so that, again, we are not, you know, declared obsolete as a people, since robotics and machines and artificial intelligence will be taking over?
Right. The word is unlearn. Unlearn, relearn, upskill, and reskill.
Okay.
So part of the things that we need to look at is look at the core of your job. Mm-hmm. So for example, as an HR professional, there's no way you'll stop dealing with people, in as much as you'll have to leverage the link between people and machines. Mm-hmm. But the people, even if you're called a people happiness officer, we have seen wellness as a trend that is skyrocketing in the HR world or in the people world. So how do you then balance all of that? So we need to discuss and see how we adopt technology as a people, because we can't run away from it. We really can't run away from technology. So whatever job that you do, you need to look at the core. What is my job as a driver? The drivers are going to be driving electric cars in the next 2-3 years, by the way, it's not even 5.
Yeah.
So as a driver, what do you need to be to operate an electric car? As a machine operator, the machines are changing. What exactly are the skills you need, particularly to be able to operate the current machines that are coming up? I run a carpentry school. We have technology that has been changing in the world of woodworking. So as a challenge to ourselves, and we even right now have students from Denmark, because we want to benchmark and see what exactly do we need, where is that world, and where are we as a country, and what do we need to do? The thing is, there are some jobs that will need to really change, like do a whole 360. And we need to now evaluate and see which one am I in that category? And if my job is changing, then what does it mean for me? And how do I then go back to understanding? And by the way, you don't need to go to school, actually. Some of these things are available online. Some of the technologies that are coming up are available. So you don't have to really like spend millions to do that. And the other thing we need to do is make sure that you're in the you're in the circles where conversations are happening. We have the HR Congress coming up in May. How many people will come take part? Because we are discussing performance management and how it is affecting our workplaces. Because right now the focus is, how do I get more from that person? So if technology will help me get more from you, Winnie, I'm going to bring a technology, and you need to adopt this technology to be able to create more opportunities for yourself and our business, because this business is not, NTV will continue, needs to be sustainable. So Winnie needs to adopt the technology to be able to feed into the overall goal of the organization. So I wouldn't say exactly what each individual needs, because all roles are different, all businesses are different. But the one thing that we need to do is make sure that we're in touch with technology. Make sure that we are aware of what is happening in our world of work. If you need to move from HR to become a CEO, what do you need in between? Because that is what makes you differentiate you from the other. I tell you, Winnie, the other day there's a candidate we did not take on because they do not know how to switch on their video on Zoom. We're doing virtual interviews. Oh, wow. And these two candidates scored very highly, but there's a guy, their difference was 2 marks. And the 2 marks was, one was able to actually be able to turn on their camera on Zoom. So you see, some of these things are so easy, they're so normal. How do you not know how to turn on your video on Zoom, usually, honestly speaking? So in as much as we are saying that, oh, my job will be absolute, it's not your job. It is you who has refused to keep up with the time. It is you who needs to come around where the conversations are happening. And then once you hear about it, go and take stock. Ask yourself, Grace Zula, you are an HR. This is what HRs do. So HR of the future requires what? We are talking about public speaking right now. It's a skill that you need to be able to thrive in business. What are you doing as an individual, and where is technology taking public speaking for you? You know?
Yeah,
so
I see that, yeah.
There's this stock taking. We need to take stock of what we have now in terms of skills and what we need in the future for where we are going, because we are also not going to be stagnated. Winnie, I do not want to see you as a morning host for the next 20 years. I want you to be something else bigger and better, and unleash your better potential, because we are evolving creatures. So we can't say that you're going to be stuck in one position. We really need to take stock of our skills, then unlearn what we need to unlearn, relearn what needs to be relearned, and then, because this is also shaping culture, and then reskill ourselves, you know, and figure out how else do we make things work. You know, the other day, some government officials could not hold a meeting because no one came with a PowerPoint presentation. Is that bad, Winnie? So
there's a huge
we
gap.
really need to, yes. So we really need to adopt, and I'm telling you, we don't have to go the whole programming way. We just need to start with the basics and transition and walk ourselves into the future. Because if we try to do everything, I can't be a web designer right now, even if I wanted. But I can learn what web design, how it works with my job. You know, I don't have to do the design myself, but I have to be able to understand that this is how a good website looks like. This is how a good camera looks like, you know. Some of these things are kujituma too for the Kenyans. Kujituma, kujituma.
I like that. And I like the fact that you really, said it as it is. Listen, at the end of the day, it's not your job that is going to be obsolete. It is you. And this is as long as you're not, again, adapting and learning and relearning and then unlearning and upskilling and all those things. I really like that. Okay. So someone mentioned.
Winnie?
Yes, go ahead.
If I may just add, even when we're declaring redundancies legally, we do not declare people redundant. We declare positions. So it is up to us to be in touch with the positions and see if the organization is declaring my position redundant in the next 5 years. So what do I need to do now? Because I tell you, we don't throw away everyone at once.
Yeah.
There's this core that is normally left to make the business grow. Why are you not part of that core? Why should you be the one being declared redundant just because you're not evolving? And I tell you, we have a lot of potential.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So there's that question about human versus machine conflict, right? And I think we touched on this a little bit before we went on a break, where a lot of people are scared, because hashtag the machines are quote unquote taking up their job. So then, and there's something that you mentioned during break, which I think was really powerful, that listen, in as much as, yes, we have like robotics and all those things who, sort of like taking up these positions, but at the end of the day, there's that emotional intelligence aspect of the same that has not yet been figured out, right? So can we emphasize on the same so that we do not have this machine versus human conflict?
Right. Yeah. In this case, we're looking at, are we removing or replacing the human in the human resource department, or in this case, for today's conversation, are we replacing the human being or the human aspect in the human resource industry?
Okay.
With the advent of technology adoption, there's been the worries, there's been the anxiety that are we going to replace human beings?
Yeah.
And at the same time, there's the promising benefits in that this is how technologies will help us improve our operations and our workflows.
Yeah.
And that has led to the concerns around human and adoption of of these technologies. And I think that has led to a slower rate of adoption when it comes to even at government level, at business levels, maybe for different factors. But for the main concern has been, is artificial intelligence really going to come fully replace? And in my, I think that we are yet to get there. We are yet to get to a level where artificial intelligence and these emerging technologies will fully take over. This is what we call artificial superintelligence. That's the future that we envision, that robotics, metaverse, artificial intelligence, and all these emerging technologies, they're going to fully take control of the world. With so much precision in almost everything that they do. So with all those concerns, for me, I would say that we are yet to get there, but we're making great strides towards getting there. And for now, and even the future, what we're going to see is what we call augmented intelligence. And by augmented intelligence, we mean that we now have human beings and machines get to work together. They'll now be working pair by pair on the side, complementing one another. And this is because when we talk of artificial intelligence, these applications don't have what we call a generalized intelligence. This is the human aspect of making abstractive decisions. AI cannot be able to tell whether something is true or false. And that means that as much as probably in the future we'll have a level where we have full automation, we'll still need to have human beings being able to lead, being able to control, being able to augment the kind of output you're getting from these machines. So we'll still need human aspect. We'll still need human beings. So we ask ourselves, which crucial skills will we need? Because at the same time, we're talking of automation, automating almost every task and getting to have machines do much of work. I'm looking at critical human skills such as critical thinking, problem solving, the emotional intelligent aspect of human beings as valuable skills that even as we move forward into the future, in almost every industry, we'll still need human beings to support the human judgment level in leading these machines, whether it's the media and journalism industry, as much as we'll have maybe machines taking over from how we do our scripting for news and everything. We'll
and
still
even anchoring. I mean, we saw this, was it in China, where there's like a robot sort of like, presenting news and everybody's like, okay, so then what's going to happen to us? And
I think also to touch on the same in China, I'm also concerned on the construction industry. There's a lot that's happening in China and Singapore, transforming how we conduct our construction, to a point that I was reading an article that they're now able to, in terms of urban development, to just have robots and just maybe 2 or 3 people manning them, and within 10 days they have a whole skyscraper building up, very strong and sustainable. So, but again, if you look at, we'll still need the human beings with those human skills that will still be valuable to ensure that we lead these applications, we guide them, because again, currently, if you even maybe use ChatGPT, you'll realize at times it gives you inaccurate information. When you're maybe leveraging machine learning algorithms, at times you'll get impaired decisions, or maybe an impaired output, or something that's just an error. And because, again, as you mentioned, this application doesn't have that human intelligence level to understand. We'll still need human beings to still be there to guide and to lead these applications. So I think for me, when it comes to the human beings and machines conflict, we are yet to get to even a level we'll control, we'll have full automation. That's artificial superintelligence. But for now, there's need for us to build upon what Grace mentioned, to understand the skills that we need to upskill ourselves, and also more emphasis besides the technical skills on those human skills, from critical thinking, problem solving, and how we can support these machines in whichever role and industry that you're in. Because again, machines are coming to improve our work, and most likely your task will be obsolete. So for you to ensure that you remain sustainable and still relevant in the business, gaining the technical skills is a great way, but at the same time improve on those creative skills, because we'll still need those human beings to lead these machines into the future. And maybe at some point, maybe we'll get to that envisioned future where we'll have robots and machines taking full control. But for now, great steps in the right direction. Need for us to build up on the technical skills and also on the human skills that will still be valuable in the future.
In the future. All right, and of course we'll talk about then the whole aspect about emotional intelligence as well, and problem solving skills and all those things, and Grace will help us with the same. But very quickly, because Grace said, listen, we do not have to complicate things, right? Like when we talk about and think about like artificial intelligence and, you know, this whole question about machine learning, I mean, and things like, because majority of the times when you go that direction, a lot of people will be like, yeah, this is like a tech person's thing, you know, IT and all those things has completely nothing to do with me. So what are some of these basic digital, you know, skills that we all need to have, regardless of whether uko na kiosk yako hapo unauza mboga, or, you know, unauza all those things, or, you know, you are in, you know, a formal sort of like employment or not. What is that basic skill that we need to have, you know, as far as, you know, the whole digital space is concerned, so that again, come 5, 10 years from now, or even 3, like Grace said, we're not surprised by all those things, and, you know, we're not caught unawares.
A great question. With the adoption of the digital technologies and also these emerging technologies, there's even within the country, we're already experiencing the rise of a digital economy. We now have digital content creators, and what that means is that there are more opportunities that are being created in the digital economy space. So there's need for us to, one, understand the digital space. How do we leverage the social media platforms that are there? How do we maybe leverage them to promote our businesses, to start our businesses? We have people who have their businesses that solely run online. How do we market our businesses? How do we advance our crafts online? So there's need for us to gain basic skills in how do we leverage these digital platforms to advance your course, whether it's maybe build a business, whether it's to promote your work. That will be one great way for almost every one of us to understand the digital technologies, upskill yourself, and also we having an understanding of the digital space, the opportunities that are there, and how you can promote your craft. There's need for us to be data literate. Again, we mentioned that almost every industry we're generating data, and that means there's need for us at a basic level to be data literate. Grace emphasized on this, and I would still also emphasize on the same. There's need for us to be data savvy. Whether in HR, she talked of people analytics, HR analytics. Get to acclimatize yourself, get to gain the skills in that particular domain. So basically, I would say special focus on digital opportunities, the digital economy, understand the opportunities that are there, gain the skills from in terms of digital marketing, basically the digital space, understand the digital space, gain the skills, the knowledge, and then depending on your course, you'll be able to either promote your business, start a business online, That's why there's the whole rise of the digital economy currently, the content creators. So gain skills in that area and then run away with what works for you. And at the same time, gain, seek out opportunities to gain skills to build your data literate competencies. Because again, in almost every field, we have the data and there's need for us to be data literate. The online platforms that someone can leverage on to gain the skills. If you're in finance, get to understand how in my area of work can I leverage the data. What kind of skills do I need to gain? Again, as Grace mentioned, align the skills with your industry. So I think for me, I would focus on those two at a basic level, and then move up as need be as your career progresses.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, and Grace, so it's good to build on this hard technical, digital skills. It's very important. But at the same time, like we said, technology is not here to sort of like replace human beings. There's a way that we can work, hand in hand and make sure that at the end of the day we thrive, various careers and, jobs, and whether it's, self-employment and all those things. But when it comes to soft skills, I know, like you said, I mean, this is like a diverse area that we're talking about. So there are different people, different, skills that are required, but are the basics, right? Some of the soft skills that we need, like for example, we talked about emotional intelligence, which is very, very key, and problem solving and all those things. So yeah, how then do we acquire these skills? And especially when it comes to the curriculum, maybe in schools, in colleges and in universities, should we also then see a shift in terms of how people learn, those things and the technical skills that are also taught in schools?
Yes, I think it is important that we actually start from parenting. How do we teach our children to communicate? Because communication is one of the soft skills that are very, very important. When communication is on one side and public skills, in fact, public speaking has been listed as one of the skills to have in 2023, 2025. We have communication skills. We have emotional intelligence, which is trending right now as well. We also have critical thinking, we have discussed critical thinking, problem solving. We have, what else do we teach? We have teamwork, conflict management, especially on conflict management, because a lot of people don't understand. We have mediation skills that are also coming up in the workplaces. Even our courtrooms have adopted mediation and arbitration. So those are some of the soft skills that we need to have so that we can coexist even in our workplaces. Now, for different careers need different skills. For example, in HR, we are also required to be able to become first aiders in wellness or in psychosocial psychology, so that we are able to spot mental health issues in the workplaces. Some of these things will not be taught in class. You'll have to be out here practicing, and then you realize, I need to be able to pick out when somebody has a mental health issue and when somebody is actually becoming a hardhead, so that you can differentiate the two and you're able to get the most out of the team. And that is why we are very serious about training. And this is a call for anyone who has nothing or other, who can, please commit to joining us. We train people for free every Tuesday on Zoom. And you can join us from anywhere. And tomorrow we are discussing gig work. We also have the HR Congress by IHRM coming up in May from 15th to 19th. So some of these conversations are going to be taking place. We are like, if you're going to be sustainable, there's the bridge between now and then. So how do we do this in between? So in terms of soft skills, there's so many, but there's leadership, there's being a manager, there's transitioning from the old to the new, because that's a whole change management. There's also the ability to be able to manage change, and especially this is for team leaders. And also just being able to gel as a team so that we can now push forward. So soft skills would be communication, emotional intelligence, public speaking skills, problem solving, conflict management, teamwork, etc., etc. There are so many. Right. Those are some of the
things that people.
And I know it's 9 o'clock. Please let me talk out to my mother. Yes, because I know you'll hang up on me just now.
We have to, unfortunately, we have to end the conversation.
Yeah, and everyone who follows us on Get It Right with the Tara Solutions. Thank you. Right, yes, back to you, Winnie.
Okay, thank you very much, Grace. And really, I'm just going to give you like 30 seconds to just, cap this all up. I know Mark is like, you need to get out, but really 15 or 30 seconds in terms of just making sure that, we do not wish away technology, but really embrace it. What would you say in literally 30 seconds?
Let's understand the world of tech as it changes. let us adapt.
Okay.
Let us change our way of doing things.
All right.
Let's upskill ourselves, and so that we can be able to thrive in the future of the workplace.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Kennedy Wangari, data scientist at UNEP, and as well as Grace Zula, who's karibu atume salamu. Grace Zula, HR consultant and trainer at Atara Solutions. Thank you so much to both of you really for coming by today. Such a insightful conversation as far as technology and of course the impact that it has on workforce. And very quickly, just to sum up with a few comments here and there on Twitter, someone says, this is Jomo Gidaika who says, and the need for workers to continuously learn and adapt to stay relevant in the workforce. It is important to carefully consider and plan for the impact of technology on employment opportunities. And I think we addressed this earlier on. And then I think this is what he said earlier on, said technology is already affecting and will continue to affect the future of work as automation, artificial intelligence, and the internet transform the way we work and the types of jobs that are available. This is leading to the emergence of new jobs that require different skills. All right. And of course, there's so much. A lot of you have a lot to say. Evan Sokalo says it will affect it completely. And then someone says, Nelson Marita says it definitely affects a lot more jobs. And then David Omondi, last one, says the future of work is rapidly changing with technology, and AI is set to revolutionize it all. AI won't take our jobs. Instead, it will make us better at them, boosting productivity and efficiency. Embrace the change and thrive in the future of work. Well, let's put a pause over here, but the conversation continues online. That is at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on Twitter, and on our YouTube channel, that is at NTV Kenya. But for now, let's think about that and adopt, of course, relearn, unlearn, reskill, upskill, all those things, all right, so that we thrive in the future. But for now, have yourselves a lovely day ahead. My name is Winnie Lumbembe. I'll see you tomorrow morning, same time, same place, right here on Your World. But until then, stay safe. Goodbye.